Alright, in this video we are going to introduce JavaScript, and I think we'll have two videos to get started here. Both of these you can get started by reading, following along the W3 Schools tutorial for JavaScript. So in this first video we just want to look at a few things and show how to get around, and then in the second video we'll start going through all the different rules. I'm going to keep track here of things to remember, and we're not going to get through all this in the first couple rules, but it's just, or first couple videos, but it's just a reminder. So something that's a key thing to remember is JavaScript is a general purpose programming language. So what that means is you could theoretically do anything in JavaScript. HTML is not a programming language. It is a markup language. So markup language is a way to specify information with something about how it's displayed as well. A programming language is a way to specify a programming process, an algorithm, a procedure. So tell the computer how to actually do something. So for the rest of the class, the main goal is to do JavaScript, and so our goal, maybe I'll put this these little notes down here. So note our goal in studying JavaScript is to study programming. And so to study programming, it wouldn't really matter which programming language we pick. And we picked JavaScript because it's do fun visual stuff, useful stuff. Alright, so there's those two goals, and some of the stuff we'll do because it's useful, and some of the stuff we'll do because it's important information in terms of programming. Okay, maybe we'll do more of the theory and the explanations of what programming means a little bit later. For now, we'll just jump in and start looking at the code. Okay, so when you go through these, you should do the try it yourselves. You can click here and it actually does it, but then if you do the try it yourself, this is a complete program. So you can run it here, and if you make some change, so if I say hello there over here, and then I click run, see it loaded over here. Now this is a complete HTML file, so I could also copy and paste this onto my local computer. I don't know if so. Right, we could save it onto my local computer that way, or if I want to put it on the CS server, this is W3 Schools, whatever, something. Okay, so in my terminal I have this edit paste. If you're on PuTTY and you have something on your clipboard, you would right click, and right clicking actually just pastes. I don't know if we put that anywhere, but if you search on Google for PuTTY copy paste, then that's what you'll find. Alright, so if I have this here now, it is readable. So we'll go ahead and load that up. It should look the same here. Now let's click it, and it worked. Alright, so now we have it on the server like we're used to seeing. I can look at the code here, and we have HTML, and then the JavaScript is inside of this onClick. So the code is actually this part. This is JavaScript code. Button is a type of tag that we haven't used, but it's not complicated. The name of the tag is button. Inside of it is the text that's there. And it has an attribute called type. That's button. All right. So you could already try to do something with this. Let's see. So we could do something else. You can sort of see what happens here. This document.getElement by ID, and that is case sensitive. Then you give it a ID that's inside of one of the tags with an ID, and then you can get the inner HTML, and then you can set it. And this date will be something. I could put something else there. So instead of date, I could say I am okay or something. So I'll reload it, and I believe need to get rid of those parentheses. I'll go ahead and see what the problem is here though. So when you inspect, there's the inspector, there's the style stuff that you can play with. There's also a console. The console shows JavaScript errors. So we can see here in my HTML, if I click on that, it takes me into the code, and some particular spot there's a problem. So let me click this again. We'll go back to the console. So if I click that, it's just happening multiple times. I am okay is not a function. That was when I still had this here, so that was wrong. It's not real important what specifically the error is right now, just that if there is a JavaScript problem, you'll see it on the console if you bring up the console. Okay, so that's an example, and any of the other examples that are going to be in the try it yourself, you could save off into your own directory. Okay, you should read this stuff on your own. The next thing here is introduction. There's just a lot of different examples, so we'll just kind of go through them. So this is showing that the paragraph changes. So if we look at what's happening here, when the button is clicked, this onClick equals means when the button is clicked, this is what happens. The thing that is demo, so ID demo, the inner part of that gets changed from JavaScript can change HTML to hello JavaScript. All right. So that is one thing JavaScript can do. Here they point out that we can use double quotes. So the place we've seen double quotes before is in href. So like inside of style1 proof. Well, we've seen double quotes putting things inside if it's a style, really any time you give an attribute. Where's the href? Oh, there's the href. Alright, so anytime you have an attribute that gets a value, you tend to put it in double quotes, and actually single quotes are okay. They just have to match up. Okay, here is another example. So you might pause and ask, what is the JavaScript actually changing? What does the HTML look like to make this happen? Maybe pause. And then what's happening is there's two buttons, and then it looks like there's an image in between them. So then the image will change. So let's see, there's H2, there's a paragraph, there's a button. there's an image, and then there's a button. And so we have, currently the source will be pick bulb off. And then when we click turn on the light bulb, what happens? The image, which has an ID there, we change the src, that's a parameter inside the image, we change it from whatever it was to bulb on or bulb off, depending on what button they clicked. Okay, so that is showing that we can change, these are called attributes. So any attribute we could change. src, we could change the style. Yeah, we could even change the ID. So something else that would be interesting, let's just try it and see. Okay, so now I turn on the light, that's this button. Now I turn off the light, that's this button. Now what if I try to turn on again? Doesn't work anymore because I actually changed the ID from, it was my image and now it's nothing. So when this code still keeps running, but that button doesn't have the ID my image anymore. Isn't that exciting? Okay. This is an example showing that you can change the style. So there is a paragraph here. Initially it has just default font size. So if I load it again, it has default font size, and then when it gets clicked, you select the paragraph with ID demo, and then you can go inside the style, which is an attribute. So there could be a style in here, and normally if you said here style equals, you would say font size 20 pixels or something like that. So in the style there would be a dash, whereas in the JavaScript it always is, instead of a dash you have the next letter capital, and that's called camel case because it looks like a camel. Okay, so anything that's in the style we can actually change with JavaScript. Okay. Let's see what happens here. We get hidden. So the paragraph inside the style, there's actually something called display, which can have different values, but if it's none, then it actually doesn't show up. So now that I made it none to begin with, their block is an option. But then when you make it none, it disappears. So we could have something disappear. Let's try this one. So this is one where it was initially none, display none, and then it became display block instead. Alright, so then these are all things we could do. We can hide and show things, we can change style as we wish, we can change any attribute, we can put HTML inside. Maybe we should do some other kind of example. Let's see, something cute. Let me pause for a second. Okay, So I have an idea, something that's kind of cute. I'll copy the W3 schools, and this will be exponential.html. So let's see what we had. We had a button, and I'm not going to call this my first JavaScript anymore. I'm going to call this exponential growth. So I'm going to, instead of demo, I'll give this a name, something I like better. I'll call this value or something. Okay, now I'm going to just put something here, a star, say. And now I'll say click me to, okay, click me to, and I'll say what it's going to be in a second. But okay, so now that value is the ID, it's like this. So I'm going to do I'm going to make this so there's less typing. What are the chances this works on the first time? Let me see if it works, and then we can explain. All right, so this is going to be exponential. Okay, exponential growth, click me. You notice what's happening here? Every time I click it, it doubles. Isn't that exciting? Maybe I should have a space there so that doesn't, so it'll wrap better. All right, exponential growth. It gets big pretty quickly. All right, and so then what's actually happening here? Document.getElement by ID value. So if I just have that, then I can save that as something called X. Var is for variable. And then inside of X, I have inner HTML. That's whatever's inside of here. So I take whatever's there. I take 2 copies of it, and then save it back. All right, so that's kind of cute. Let's see, what were the other choices of things we can do? We can change the style. Okay, so another classic thing is a color. So a classic thing to do is to have a text box, and then we'll update. So in the exponential, click me to see exponential growth. Okay, so now in the colors, I want to make the color of, maybe I will make the color of this button into something. Okay, so this ID is me, so that's the button itself, dot style, dot background. It would be color, dash color, but in JavaScript instead it will be capital C color. And let's just start off by saying this is going to be red. Make sure it works. And I'm not actually going to use this paragraph. So now I want to be on colors. Probably don't want to call that exponential growth anymore. But it's still exciting, so we'll keep the exclamation point. Alright, let's see. Is it going to change? There's red. Okay, so now the classic thing to do is to have a text input. Let's see if that even is correct. Alright, so now I want to take whatever was in the other, instead of just red, I'll take whatever was in the input. So document .get element by ID, now some color dot value. That's just the rules for how we can do these things. Let's see if it actually works. So now I could try out, in a previous video somebody had tried bright red. That is not a real thing. You could do your FF00FF, so that should be red, not green and blue. Red and blue make purple. There's purple. Or you could do the RGB version. 100, 100, 100 should be some kind of gray because the red, green, and blue values are all the same. Okay, so isn't that exciting? That's something exciting with changing style. Showing and hiding, we'll just leave it at that. Let's see if we got everything we were supposed to do in the first video. So, introducing, introduction, and home. Okay. So any of these things you can try it yourself, copy paste the whole page, and you can put it on the CS server. You could also, let's go back, so just to show one other thing, so we could also save it here. I don't want to save it there. Let's save it to a local file. Okay, so if you have a text editor on your local computer, so one of the ones that you could use is Atom, or you could be using Emacs on your local computer, or Vim, or something else. But Atom is one, so if we open up Atom and we save what I had here, copy paste, and save that on my local computer, then I could just play around with it on the local computer, not being connected to the internet. So I will make a new file. I'll start with this Untitled. Alright, I had it copied, now I paste. I'll save that as something, some file here. Well, we'll just leave it wherever it is there, and then I could open it in my browser from my local computer. Hello.html, there it is. Now if I want to work on it, I can change it here. Get rid of some of these other things. I could change it here, go back and forth, and then eventually transfer it to a server if I wanted to be on a server. Alright, so you should go ahead and read through the home and the introduction, and last of all, okay, we will have a little quiz about whether you watch this or not. So I'll tell you the answer to the question, and I'll tell you the question. Alright, so there's going to be inside of here Dave. So the question is going to be, let's see, no, correct. The question is going to be Hal. So if the question is open the pod bay doors, Hal, then what's the answer? Exactly, letter for letter. I'm afraid I cannot do that, Dave. And if you don't know where that comes from, then you should watch the movie it comes from. That's the end for now.